following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98 FM's Dublin Talks. Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Good morning. It is Friday. Happy Friday to you and happy weekend. I hope you're all in good form. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks, and we are live with you between now and midday today. This is Dublin's, well, it's our hub. That's what we like to call it. It's the hub where you all come together to talk about the issues that are happening in Dublin and that may be happening in your life. If there's something that's happening in your life, there's something that, you know, you're talking about in work, the chances are we'll be talking about it here. Here are the ways to contact us. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. That is the text or WhatsApp number. We love to hear from you. You are an integral part of the show. We love your comments, positive, negative. We love your feedback, and we love your opinions on the topics we're talking about. You shape the show. You're brilliant. You're all brilliant. So we want to hear from you. Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98, or you can call us on 6797 981 6797 981. We have a lot of stuff to get through between now and midday today, some of which you may be very interested in and you want to throw your tuppence worth in. Here's a rundown of what's happening on Dublin Talks between now and midday. In a moment, subject that's very close to my heart, actually. We'll be talking to a Dublin woman who's come up with an idea on how to encourage more people to donate their organs. We'll be talking to that woman in a moment, and I have to say I'm surprised that nobody's ever thought about this before, but she has an idea that she wants to run by you and see how you feel about it. Also, Dublin taxi drivers will be talking to us. They're not happy over a new plan that's being rolled out later on, and you as a taxi passenger may not be happy about it either. If you're a taxi driver, make sure you stay tuned. You're going to be very interested in this conversation. I know a lot of you have been posting online, giving out about what's happening in the next few days and in the next few hours. All about the My Taxi app. I know a lot of taxi drivers use the My Taxi app. We'll be talking about that in about 20 minutes or so. Also, it's Friday, which means we want to hear your good news. Share your good news with us. We'll share it with our audience. That's how we put a smile on everybody's face. If you have good news now and you want to get it in straight away, you can do so. Text us 087 798 98 98. If you have some good news happening in your life that you want to share with us, what's going on in your life that's put a smile on your face? Text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. And at 11 o'clock this morning, is it time to close the doors on Stephen's Day shopping? We hear from retail staff. It's something that's being proposed in the UK at the moment. They're signing petitions, and tens of thousands of people have signed a petition to basically put an end to the madness of Stephen's Day shopping, or Boxing Day as they call it in the UK. Because here's what happens. The way it is now with retail, if you work in retail, you pretty much have one day off at Christmas time, and that's Christmas Day. So if you have kids, you're back to work on the 26th, first thing in the morning. We'll be talking to retail staff who want to see an end to that. All that and lots more besides. Oh yes, we have our quiz as well coming up at around 12:30 or 11:30. We have a lot to get through, so no more beating around the bush. Let's do it. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks, myself, Jeremy Dixon, and joining us for a moment is 98 FM Sports' Darren Cleary, because a name I haven't heard, well, I mean, he's been around, he hasn't disappeared, but a name I haven't heard being mentioned in a long time is Mick McCarthy, and he's back in the news today. Everybody's talking about him. He is at the top of the agenda. Why?
Yeah, Jeremy, yesterday felt a bit like 1996 because the Spice Girls had just sold out a concert in Dublin and Mick McCarthy was being linked with the Ireland manager's job.
And I'm back to a 32-inch waist. It's like the 90s.
It's the 90s all over again. It's the 90s, baby.
Yeah, there we go.
The sky is full of cranes.
Just had to get that waist thing in there.
I'm glad you did.
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're looking well.
Mick McCarthy.
Mick McCarthy, it's believed, is the front runner for the job. The FAI are set to interview him over the weekend. It's also thought that Stephen Kenny, the Dundalk manager, one of the most successful managers domestically in history, is in line for that job. He's won 4 league titles with Dundalk, 5 in total, and he has just done a marvellous job with them over the years, so he's also in the frame. So sources close to the FAI suggest it is a 2-horse race between our former manager, Mick McCarthy, and the man lighting Irish football alight at the moment, that's Stephen Kenny.
Would I be right in saying Stephen Kenny? And before I ask this question, actually, let's hear from you, because I think the Irish public have a love-hate relationship with Mick McCarthy. I don't know how they feel about him. Simply text your opinion, just in one sentence, of how you feel about the possible return of... I mean, there's the first text message, which I can't read out. Can you see that?
I can't.
Before I even finish the sentence. Well, it begins with the letter F, and it's a 4-letter word, and then it's followed by Mick McCarthy, so it's not very...
Flip McCarthy?
Flip McCarthy, that's what it is. Text your opinion. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98
Fake
98.
McCarthy?
No, you know what the word is. How do you feel about a possible return to the management of the Irish team by Mick McCarthy? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Now, we were talking about Mick McCarthy. He has plenty of managerial experience. And then you were saying the other forerunner for it is Stephen Kenny,
who has good managerial experience
he does,
as well.
But
now, Mick did a brilliant job at Ipswich. He had zero budget top right off. He kept them mid-table. They never really pushed for promotion, but they were never really in relegation trouble either. They got sick of his voice. They decided to part company last season. So he's available. So he is the option that is easy, it is quick.
Easy isn't always the right option, though.
I agree, but Stephen Kenny is not available, but at the same time he's one of the most well-regarded Irish managers working at the moment. He's a very, very big future and bright future in the game. He is also a very, very good track record of achieving with limited resources.
It's a poison chalice, though, isn't it, really? I think. I mean, I'm not being offered the job, by the way, but if I was being offered the job, and I know it's nice money, but it's a bit of poison chalice, because I think no matter who you put in there, we don't have a strengthening team at the moment, and the team isn't performing. Can that all be put down to the manager?
Well, it was a poison chalice for Steve Staunton. His career certainly started and ended with the Ireland manager's job. It was probably a poison chalice for Brian Kerr. He really never recovered and reached the heights his career could have reached after that gig. But it didn't really hurt Martin O'Neill, you would say. I mean, he's a very, very good record in the game, very, very great success as a player. He will probably go and get a manager's job in the Premier League or the Championship. He turned down a couple of Premier League jobs while he was in charge of us.
Yes, he did.
So it certainly did his stock no harm. So I'm not so sure I'd agree it's a poison chalice, and I definitely wouldn't agree that the players are not capable of producing any better than they have over the last 12 months.
We just don't have a goal scorer since Robbie Keane packed in the gig.
That's very true, but we do have one of the best deliverers of a ball in Ireland and the UK, and Robbie Brady. His set pieces are a wonderful platform to attack. The problem is we're not creating enough chances or creating enough set pieces. We don't have a recognised goal scorer, but there's no point in moaning about Robbie Keane. He was a once-in-a-generation talent.
Ah, yeah, but there's no point in living in the past. Yeah.
It's up to someone else to seize that opportunity.
And who is that person? Are you listening? Is there anybody out there?
I don't know. But
anybody want the gig?
There are a couple of decent strikers in the squad. I do think that it's still a very appealing job. Jeremy, it's one of the biggest jobs in Irish life, not just sport. Like, this is up there with the Taoiseach and the President. Like,
I hear, calm down there now.
But in terms of the jobs that are spoken about, in terms of the jobs that are in the public psyche, the role mightn't carry the same responsibilities, but the profile is as big as any job in the country, I guarantee it. So it's a very, very important appointment, and it shouldn't be one where you take the quick and easy one, I think.
Okay, we asked people to text in, and the trolls are out in full swing. We'll get to the trolls now in a moment. We asked people their first impressions on the possibility of Mick McCarthy. Captain Fantastic, was that his nickname? Was that his nickname back in the day?
Yeah, Mick was well liked as a player.
Yeah, the possibility of Mick McCarthy, that's my impression of him, returning as Ireland manager. Your texts are flowing in. We'll get to them in a second. Michael, you're a fan, are you?
I always like Mick, yeah.
He always liked you too. He always spoke very highly of you, Michael. Big fan of yours. You don't think he got a fair chance the first time around?
I don't think he got a fair chance first time around. I think Roy Keane's ego was a big part of why he kind of... There was a clash there. Roy's not managerial type of person at all. I mean, I went to lots
Roy is just not a person. I mean, that man should be put in a sealed box. Never talk to anybody.
I have to disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because Mick had the chance to qualify for World Cup '98. He got to play off and didn't get us there. He had a chance to qualify for Euro 2000. We didn't qualify for that. He qualified us for one World Cup.
Yeah, but you're looking at the old Mick. The new Mick has many more years of experience now, and I think you do a great job. And when I used to watch Mick play when I was a young lad, I used to watch the Ireland team play all the time. I used to always going to watch them in Lansdowne. And Mick was a defender, and he was at the back, and he was telling everyone what to do. He was calling a lot of shots, and he was bullying people, pushing people around, and that's the type of character you need in the Ireland team.
What has he won?
What do you mean, what has he won?
Just tell me what he's won. As a player or as a manager, tell me his successes.
Tell you, Darren, if he does become manager, he's not going to do any press conferences with you.
No, I'm just wondering. I'm wondering. No, it's a fair question.
No, see, this is the type of the journalistic bullshit now that just...
No, it's a legitimate question. Tell me what Mick McCarthy has won.
What do you mean, what is he? He's done wonderful with Ipswich.
No, but tell me, what did he win with Ipswich? What did he win with Wolves?
I believe... I have a different attitude to you. I believe...
Yeah, and that's why his average is acceptable.
Let the man speak. Okay, well, what has he won, Michael?
Look, it's about his character, and I think he could do a good job.
Character's not enough, though, really, is it? We need...
It is. He's doing things. What do you want? Like, what do you want, Alex Ferguson or something? You're not going to get
I want a manager who will come in with a proven track record of doing well with limited resources and winning matches with limited resources, like Stephen Kenny has done. I want someone who has recent experience relevant to the Ireland job, which Stephen Kenny has. Okay. He knows the players who are Irish-born and playing in our leagues. He'd have a good understanding of the players playing overseas.
Okay, lads, we put up a poll. We put up a poll about this on our Twitter page, Dublin Talks on 98 FM, and we asked who would you prefer, and we only gave two options, to be honest with you. Who would you prefer to manage the Ireland team next, Mick McCarthy or Stephen Kenny? And if I just refresh this now, so it was a two-horse race. 82% said Stephen Kenny. Captain Fantastic Mick McCarthy only got 18%. So it's not looking good for your Captain Fantastic, Michael.
Look, I accept the people, but I like Mick.
Yeah, but liking him doesn't mean he should be the manager of the national team. I like Mick as well as a human being. I think he's wonderful achievements. But Mick is the manager of the past. He's had his go. He had 3 campaigns. He got to 1. Yeah. Qualified for 1 tournament. Okay,
you're so ageist. Okay, let me just wrap up by reading out some of the text messages that came in on this. We asked you your first impressions on Mick McCarthy coming back. The silly stuff, give it to Eamon Dunphy and stuff. Eamon Dunphy couldn't run a bat. Never mind the football team, would you cop on to yourself? Mick McCarthy's a good choice, but he's been out of work since April. Does that mean anything? Mick McCarthy's won nothing. He's only experienced in relegation and mid-table crap, says another person.
But why should we settle for mid-table mediocrity? Why don't we have a manager who won? Our problem is we're too resentful of the League of Ireland. We think the League of Ireland is crap and winning it is not an achievement. It's such a horrible elitist view. It discounts Stephen Kenny.
Okay, why has nobody suggested Jack Charlton for a comeback? For God's sake, Jack Charlton... Is he still with us, even Jack Charlton?
Jack Charlton is still with us.
He is still with us, but what age
he's retired. Jack Charlton
he's well retired. That man has no interest. We asked our Katie, by the way, out in the switch, who she thinks should manage the Irish football team. And you know who she said? Philly McMahon.
You know what? It's not the most ridiculous.
By the way, Jack Charlton's 83. One final call on this. Joe, how are you? Hello, Joe? Are you there?
Yeah.
You're annoyed with Darren.
Yeah, he's saying he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Hang on a sec. The man's a sports journalist, a qualified sports journalist, and he's fairly, wait for this, Darren, he's fairly well recognised in his field and respected in his field, so... Yeah, that put him in his box. Go ahead, Joe. What did you want to say?
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, Stephen Kenny is doing a great job in League of Ireland football, but to put Stephen Kenny in the same sphere as Mick McCarthy regarding the Ireland job is an absolute joke. What did Stephen Kenny do in Scotland when he went over? He was sacked.
He was sacked by Dunfermline. How did Mick do at Ipswich?
He done a great job for the resources that he had. The club that wouldn't give him any money.
And what about Wolves? How did he get on at Wolves?
At Wolves, he done a good job at Wolves.
So we're settling for a good job.
Any job the chap had, there was no money in it. He was never given. He never got a job where there was a club with big money.
How did he do with Ireland?
He done very well, because I know he was at all his matches.
1 out of 3 tournaments he qualified for. Is that
he got
success?
us to a World Cup. How many managers got us to a World Cup?
Yeah, but 1 out of 3. Would you recognise 1 out of 3 as a success?
Oh, yeah, absolute great record.
Yeah, but Joe, you'd be the first person, okay, if we give the job to him, okay, and I know you're singing his praises and all that, if we gave the job to him, yeah, say next week, yeah, and the first 2 international matches that Ireland played, they drew 0-0, you'd be the first person back on this phone going, oh, he has to go, he's crap.
No.
Oh, no.
The only manager...
Okay.
The only manager I ever said had to go was the one that's just gone.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're not going to change your mind if Ireland do sign him on as manager and we end up playing crap?
Give Mick McCarthy the next Europeans, see how he goes, and leave him there alone there till the next World Cup, and then if it doesn't work, at least he got another chance.
But why does he? What has he done to earn another chance? What has he won in the time he's left the job?
I'll just say that for a second, because there's another person that just one last call on this. A lot of people are annoyed with you, Darren. Martin, you're annoyed with Darren as well.
Yeah, I am a bit.
Yeah, it says Darren is a moron on my screen. Sorry about that, Darren.
He's talking baloney there.
But he's not. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, come here. Ireland are never going to win tournaments. Never. If we go out to the last 16, there's parades. Mick McCarthy did that in his day. He was very good in his day, he was.
So did Martin O'Neill, and no one was sad to see him go last week.
Martin O'Neill is the most boring man I've ever met in my life.
He got us out of the group at the Euro 2016 just 2 years ago. He didn't get a parade for that.
We played Georgia there last year in the qualifiers we did. They were the 270th team in the world or something like that. We scored after 4 minutes and defended for our lives for the rest of the 88 minutes.
Okay, but let me tell you what else we did. We beat Italy 1-0. We beat Germany. We got a playoff for the World Cup. We qualified for Euro 2016. O'Neill gave us more good than bad.
You put your risk.
I have to be honest with you. Thanks for your call, Martin. I've stopped watching Ireland matches recently because I've just found their style of play, I found it very boring, and I think a lot of people have. I mean, the fact that they can't even fill the stadiums for matches, says it all. Their football had become boring. When are we likely to get an answer on this, Darren?
But O'Neill and Jack, Jeremy, they're the same vintage. O'Neill and Mick, rather, they're the same vintage. They're from the same era. So if you want to move forward in a progressive way with Irish football, give it to the man who is showing what you can do with limited resources on very, very little, which is Stephen Kenny. It's believed that a quick appointment is possible. It looks like the FAI want to get this done before Sunday week, when the draw for Euro 2020 is made in Dublin. They want to have a manager in situ by then. So it looks like one of the biggest appointments they will make. It is always the biggest job that they hand out. They're going to rush it.
Okay. One final text on a lot of people are saying Delaney, John Delaney, head of the FAI, is the real problem here, but that's another day's work. Well, somebody just suggested, Darren, I don't know how you feel about this, give the gig to Kevin the Carrot. Do you know who Kevin the Carrot is?
I saw him on your Instagram yesterday.
Is he on your radar?
I'm familiar with what he does. I know his work.
Okay, you know his work.
He is a cartoon carrot.
Where's he from?
Aldi.
He's from Aldi. Yeah, well done. Well done. Thanks very much,
Can I
Darren.
get a Kevin the Carrot?
No, I don't have any Kevin the Carrots.
That's a big, massive one I saw on your Instagram.
That's from a young fella.
He surely doesn't.
It was Twitter, actually. It was Twitter.
Sorry.
No, that's from a young fella. Thanks very much, Darren. Darren will be back later on in the show. Kevin the Carrot. He arrived in my house yesterday. For those of you who don't, well, everybody knows who Kevin the Carrot is. An ingenious marketing ploy by Aldi. I think it started last year, where they brought out Kevin the Carrot, and he arrived back in the shops yesterday, but not just a small Kevin the Carrot, a huge Kevin the Carrot. And I just wanted to mention this because my young fella is over the moon about this. He loves Kevin the Carrot. He's loved him since last year when he was first seen, and he got a small little one last year. But of course, this year, Daddy, I want the big Kevin the Carrot. And of course, yesterday they went on sale in Aldi, and I don't know if anybody can let me know, are they sold out in every shop? Because my Facebook timeline is full of photographs of Kevin the Carrot, and people saying they're being sold out in shops all around Dublin. If anybody knows if you can still get a Kevin the Carrot, or did you get a Kevin the Carrot yesterday for your kids? In the UK yesterday, there were people literally killing each other. Well, they weren't actually killing each other, but they were literally diving on top of each other to get the last of the Kevin the Carrots in their local Aldi stores. Now, I'm wondering if they do still have them in shops here. If you were in the shop yesterday, if you got a Kevin the Carrot, text or WhatsApp us, let us know. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Can you still get them anywhere? And did you end up buying one yesterday? We bought the big one, and I swear to God, he's taken up our whole bloody sofa. He is absolutely monstrous. And then, of course, my young fella wanted the rest of them. He wanted, I think, Chantenay and Jasper and the baby carrot as well. And then there's I think there's a parsnip you can get as well that he went mad for. So we had to buy all of them. Pascal, the parsnip, I think is his name. And brought him home in the car yesterday, in the front seat, took up the whole front seat with a seatbelt on. But it's one of those things that it's just hit people. Kids are going mad for them and parents are going mad to get their hands on them. So I don't know if they are sold out or if they aren't. If you have any update on Kevin the Carrot, can you get Kevin the Carrot anywhere in an Aldi store in Dublin? Or if you got one yesterday, how difficult was it to get your hands on one? We had to queue up. We went to the shop an hour. Well, we didn't. My wife did. We went to the shop an hour before it opened just to make sure we got our hands on it. So I'd love to know if there are any more left. We'll take some of your calls on that. And also, after the break, we'll be hearing from a woman who has a novel idea on how to get more people to donate their organs. Don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks.
With Des Kelly Interiors. New carpets fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with myself, Jeremy Dixon, here for a Friday morning. Hope you're all in good form. Now, I was mentioning a few minutes ago about Kevin the Carrot and the fact that, he sold out in pretty much every Aldi shop yesterday, or did he? Luke, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Jeremy, how are you? You well?
How are things? Were you on the search for him yesterday as well?
I wasn't on the search. I was inside getting dinner in Aldi with the missus last night in Swords, and she just happened to mention him, this carrot thing. I've never heard of it. Never seen anything on Facebook, nothing about it.
Oh my God, you're living under a rock, man. He's as famous as Michael T. Higgins. I know
that now. I'm after watching it all over YouTube last night and everything.
Oh, he's everywhere, yeah.
But yeah, there was a bunch of kids over at one of the, the baskets in the middle in Aldi there. They're at, and she copped it then. So we went over and there was 8 or 10 of them giant ones. Now they're huge.
Oh, they're pretty huge.
They're absolutely massive. And then there was a load of the little small Chantenay or whatever you call them.
Yes, Chantenay. I don't know the rest of it.
Jasper and all them. But anyway, so she made me go home then to use and watch YouTube on all the ads and everything like that. So it's one of those crazy fad things. They're not badly priced. They're 25 quid, I think they are, for the big ones.
Yeah, and I mean the big one. Just for those of you who haven't seen it, the big one. Literally, we got it home in the car yesterday, and it literally took up the whole front seat. He needed a seatbelt on as well.
Yeah,
and. I didn't want to get the bloody thing, to be honest with you. I'm hoping, my son is listening at the moment, and he knows I didn't want to get the thing in the first place. But kids, he kept going on, Kevin the Carrot, Kevin the Carrot. And I said, if we buy the thing, there's no room for it in the house because we don't live in a mansion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they are big. And when I got home then yesterday evening after work, there he was sitting on the sofa, Kevin, sitting on the sofa watching television, and he literally took up a whole seat.
Huge.
Huge. They had loads of them in Swords.
There's plenty of them in Swords there anyway, if anyone's looking for them for the kids for Christmas or anything like that. I know things like that can be difficult to get closer to Christmas and stuff, but there's plenty of them there, and that was...
And here's the thing, Luke, in a couple of years they'll be worth a fortine because
they'll be worth a fortune because there's so few of them going around then.
Yeah, they'll be forgotten about. Anyway, you're well versed in who Kevin the Carrot is now, are you?
I am now, yeah. I kind of wouldn't mind one for Christmas now, so if the missus is listening now, she knows what to do.
Jesus, how romantic is your relationship?
Oh, I'm telling you, that's it, exactly.
I want Kevin the Carrot for Christmas.
Full of passion.
Oh, it's so unreal, Luke. Thanks very much. Cheers. From one Luke to another Luke. I think my own Luke is on the other line. Luke, you wanted to ring in about Kevin the Carrot as well.
Today, my good news Friday is that I have all the Carrots family.
Yeah, you do.
I have Kevin and Katie.
Yeah.
Chantenay. And baby Carrot.
Oh, there's a baby as well. I didn't know you bought that.
I even have Pascal the parsnip.
Yeah, I saw him on the sofa.
I also have Giant Kev. I'm so happy. He's my new sleeping teddy.
Yeah.
Daddy says there's no room for Kevin in our house.
There isn't.
But I said, Daddy, don't be silly. There is.
Thanks very much, Luke. I did say that to him, and that's how bad of a father I am. There's no room, but it didn't stop him going out and getting it. Anyway, there's lots of texts coming in about where you can get it. The Aldi on Funchal Road has loads of Kevin the Carrot yesterday at around 7 p.m. and they had loads of Peter the Parsnip. It's not Peter the Parsnip. What's the fella? It's Pascal the Parsnip. There's loads of them in Aldi in Kildare as well, says another person. And the amount of texts coming in about this. Aldi in Sandyford just now. So someone's just after sending me a photograph of Aldi Sandyford, and I'm looking in the basket. You know those baskets in Aldi, and they're in Lidl as well, where you can find everything from Gouda cheese to a screwdriver. So that's where they are. They're in the baskets in the middle, and they've loads of the little ones. But if you want to get yourselves down to Aldi in Sandyford, I'm looking at the photograph here, and there are several big Kevin the Carrots. So don't say I didn't warn you, because God only knows there'll be parents ringing next week saying, I can't get my hands on them and my children are so upset. So that's where they are. We're after telling you where they are. And it's one of these things, if you have young children, even if you don't have children, it's a fascination that kids have with them. Let me just read out this message from John. He says, I don't get the whole thing about Kevin the Carrot. It's a teddy bear. What is the big fuss about? I don't get it either, but I'm not 4 or 5 years of age. Okay, I just don't get it. Okay, but if you were a kid, maybe you would get it. If you have young kids, maybe you would. Now, I want to talk to a woman who contacted us on our Facebook page with something that was very interesting. I have to say, it's got me interested because I'm a big believer in the whole organ donation issue. If you were listening to the show a couple of months ago, myself and Adrian ended up getting organ cards sent out to us because it was something that I never had and I never thought about until someone brought it up on the show. And now I have a donor card, but a lot of people listening don't have donor cards. You know, it's just something that's never been on their radar. It's something they've never ever thought about. Well, one woman contacted the show wanting this brought up, and she has an idea regarding how we can make organ donations easier for people, and it's something that that I never thought about. Catherine joins us on the line. Catherine, you're very welcome along to the show. Tell us about your idea, if you don't mind.
So, just when it comes to organ donation, I feel that a lot of people, maybe it's not that they don't want to donate, they've just never had that conversation with their families. And then when, an awful thing happens, the family are left with an agonising decision. They don't know what to do. They want to protect the person that they just lost. And potentially, they may feel like they're not protecting them if they were to go ahead and make a decision on their behalf. What I'm thinking is, most of us these days have our social media profiles, which we update ourselves. We put all of our information on it. We put information on, like, you're prompted there's fields to put in information like your religious views, your political views, countries you've visited, where you've worked back 10 years ago, X, Y, Z. Why not have a field where you're prompted to say if you're a donor or not? And then it's there, it's on your profile. It's in stone, So
no, I'm amazed that this was never thought of before, because as you said, on your Facebook profile you have all different types of things, down where you work, your religion, as you say. And is this something that's close to your heart? Is this something that's affected you yourself?
No, I had thankfully now, touch wood, no, it's not something I've dealt with directly, but I know people that have, and I hope I'm never put in that position of, but I've had the conversations with my family members. And it's just an idea of mine that I just think, like you said, it's relatively simple. I don't seem to see an issue with it, so I'd be curious to hear what I might be missing here and why we haven't got that box ticked,
And are you an organ donor yourself, are you?
I am, yeah, absolutely, yeah. All my family know.
When did you become an organ donor?
It's a conversation that I've had with my family, so they know if an awful thing happens, they know to make that decision for me on my behalf. And
have you had an organ donor card for years, have you? Or is it just...
years, like going back years now. Yeah, years. I used to get them in the doctor's surgery years ago.
So you think that if it said on Facebook, that Jeremy Dixon is an organ donor, you think that would help in a time, like if I got...
Potentially. It may do nothing. Like, it may not, but it is an idea of, it's there, it's in black and white, it's online, and... you know, if people are wondering and they're going back and forth what to do, well, they haven't got a lot of time to go back and forth. Actually, the decision has to be made quite quickly. But it's there, it's on the profile. They can have a quick look, and it might help them make that decision on their family member or the next of kin's behalf.
Now, I know, to my shame, Catherine, only recently, well, in the last 4 months, I ended up becoming an organ donor. I'd never been one before, and it was a conversation that we were having on the radio that actually I thought to myself, I'm going to, because you can do it by text now, and I ended up texting, and I got I got the donor card within 12 hours, which was absolutely brilliant. But it's something that never had crossed my mind before. Can you explain, or try and explain to people, the importance of becoming an organ donor, why it is so important? Because clearly a lot of people, it's not on their radar.
I feel like the fact that the conversation has just never been had, and it's not a matter of, you know, because one person may feel very strongly opposed to having their organs donated, and that's absolutely fine. That's their own decision, you know. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's not that the person wouldn't like to donate. They just have never had that conversation. It's just never been, like you said, on their radar. So...
Yeah, and I mean, looking at stats just for kidney donations, there's 500 people, around 500 people on the waiting list for a kidney donor at this moment in time. So it's obviously...
That's in Ireland, is it?
Yeah, that's in Ireland. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people probably wouldn't even be aware that the figures were that high. So what you want to get from this is you want people to sit down, after hearing this today, you want people to sit down and discuss it with their family over dinner or whatever, and, you know...
Absolutely, have that conversation. And, you know, there's things online about, you know, having conversations with your children, because actually, like, children are fantastic. You know, it's a very morbid. Nobody wants to talk about their mortality, you know, that way. But children, especially, are using their profiles, their social media profiles. They're uploading selfies, they're uploading whatever random thing they've done that day. Like, you know, young people especially could be pivotal here for this. So if they were uploading, like I said, a field or just some sort of a prompt to put up that they want to be a donor, you know,
okay, so what we're going to do, because I think it's a great idea, anything that helps people becoming organ donors is a good idea. What we're going to do is we're going to contact Facebook and tell them about this conversation and about, well, we want something, we have to try and get something out of it, you know what I mean, that Facebook are normally fairly proactive with things like this, and you see the different things they set up, like if there's a terrorist attack in a certain city, you can mark yourself safe, you know, so they are fairly good at stuff like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to contact them with your idea. What we're talking about, I suppose, here is just sticking a little either a badge on the Facebook page or an option where you can actually tick a box and say
an option. Exactly, it's an option. It's not mandatory. It's an option. You know.
Well, thanks very much for contacting us, Catherine. As I said, it's a great idea. We're going to contact Facebook, and we'll have an update, I suppose, next week about what they come back with. It'll be interesting to see what they do say. Thanks very much for talking to us, Catherine.
Jeremy, have a great day.
You too. Cheers. Bye-bye. Yeah, it's something I said that I never thought about, and we got the message from Catherine, and thanks for bringing that up. I thought to myself, yeah, this is something that they could possibly do. There's some text messages coming in about this already that I'll just read out. I think it's a very good idea, to be honest with you. I can't see the harm. Joanna says there should be an opt-out system. Anyway, that is something we've discussed on the show before, Joanna, about whether or not we should have an opt-out system for it. I think everybody should be issued with a card, says another texter. Sorry, that's you, Joanna, on the line there. How are you?
I'm great, Jeremy, thanks.
Graham, what do you think of Catherine's idea? It seems quite...
I think it's a brilliant idea. It's absolutely great. It's fantastic. We donated my dad's organs. This is going back. He died in 18 years ago almost. And it actually brings me a bit of peace to know that he didn't just die in vain.
Sorry, had he become an organ donor before he passed away, or?
No, that was the thing. This is how I ended up carrying a card myself.
Okay.
Due to this, but yeah, we never knew what his wishes were. But he was only 42 when he died, so we, you know, why just put him in the ground and let those organs go to waste?
Yeah, very young man.
Yeah, and he didn't die in vain. But I think it should be compulsory and have an opt-out system, whereas there's like a register that you can see if your name is on it to say, this is not what I want. And it saves time in the event of an accident where somebody is dead.
Okay, can I ask you about your situation briefly with your father? Can I ask the circumstances?
He had a brain hemorrhage.
He had a brain. At what age again?
He was 42.
My God.
Yeah,
younger
and he was never
than myself.
Never never sick a day in his life. It was so sudden, you know.
It just came, warning. It just came out of nowhere.
No warning at all. No, nothing. Just that one day he came home, he was confused. We actually thought he had a few drinks. He was acting like he was drunk, you know, but he wasn't a big drinker as such, so that was kind of out of character. And then, so he went to bed then, sleep it off, and my mum told him to go to bed, and he woke up and he was worse and he was sweaty, so we called the doctor, and then he just went to hospital then, and he passed away a week after that. That's terrifying. It really is. A man who was, you know, by all accounts was healthy. There was no warning signs. So after he passed away, obviously, you know, he's such a young man. You were probably a lot younger then at the time. I was 21 at the time.
You're 21.
And when he was on life support in Beaumont Hospital, the organ donation team came to speak to us. And it was a very difficult choice to make because we didn't know what his wishes would have been, and at the same time I didn't want him just to die in vain.
But as well, I would imagine, having lost family members myself, it's probably the last thing you're thinking of at the time, because you're going through this huge trauma of losing your father.
Yeah, and even though the doctors told us like there was no hope, inside we were kind of saying, well, but, you know, miracles happen. You know, we weren't even thinking about a funeral, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like it's not happening to you. You know, it's like you're numb and it's happening to somebody else. So thinking of burying him would have been the last thing on our minds, even though at the back of our mind we knew, you know.
Well, I have to say I admire you and your family for the stance that you took, that you didn't.
Well, to be honest, it was my mother who, I didn't want to go for that first because I just didn't want the thought of him being his organs taken out of him, you know. It's so final, like that's it now. It's
hard to get your head around that aspect of it. It really is. Yeah.
But then once you do, and you think, well, hang on, this is actually going to, you know, prevent some other poor family having to, you know, go through watching their family member slip away.
And one final question, Joanna, do you know who received his organs, or do you know?
No, the thing is, as far as I know, is we're not allowed to know who receives them, and they're not allowed to know who the donor is. The only thing that we did was we wrote a letter to the hospital and they pass it on, and then vice versa, they write back to us. Like the hospital is the middleman between us, the go-between.
Okay.
So I knew that some man who'd been sick for a long, long time, he was a young man with a young family, and he needed a new liver, and he got the liver. We knew that he was male, you know, he was a father of young children, and his life he was able to have a brand new life now, you know, and the same with somebody who got my dad. I think it was his kidneys. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is your father's legacy. There's a high,
it gives me comfort.
There's a high possibility that there are people listening to this show right now who have a new lease of life because of your father. Now,
I just think that there should be an opt-out system though, and that way medics who are first on the scene of an accident, they don't waste any time. They just know they can check a register. No, they're not on the opt-out register. Let's go ahead and take these organs, and we assume that, you know.
Thanks for sharing your story with us, Joanna. I'm sorry for your loss, but as I said, his legacy lives on, you know, and it's food for thought for other people that may be listening to the show. Thanks very much.
And I'm sure he'd be proud that we made the right decision.
Of course he would. Of course he would. Thanks very much, Joanna. Cheers. Thanks. Bye-bye. And I know, as I said, I know it's the last thing that's on your mind when you lose a family member, but maybe it's worth thinking about. Anyway, that was all started by Catherine, who wants to get a button on Facebook, or sort of a logo on Facebook, to show that you are an organ donor. I don't know how legally binding it would be. I suppose it's no different than having a little tick on your driver's license. But we are going to contact Facebook. We'll contact Facebook over the weekend and find out is it something they would consider doing. Shane has been on to us. He says, around the same time 20 years ago, my mum took a brain hemorrhage, and we were told the same, that she wouldn't pull through, and they asked my dad to donate organs. We were lucky that she pulled through, but everyone in the family has donor cards. It's a great idea, says Shane. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Don't go away. After the break, trouble is brewing among the city's taxi drivers, and if you're a taxi passenger, this could affect you too. Don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. New wood flooring fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks for a Friday morning with myself, Jeremy Dixon. I hope you're all in good form and enjoying the show. Now, If you are a person who regularly uses a taxi as a passenger, I want you to think about this situation, okay? So you're in a nightclub this coming Saturday night, and you leave the nightclub, and because it's the run-up to Christmas, there may not be many taxis. Would you have a problem sharing a taxi with pretty much a stranger that happened to be going to the same place? Okay, so you come out of a nightclub, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and your taxi is there, and you're heading to Blanchardstown, for argument's sake. And there's another person who you've never met before. Maybe they're male, maybe they're female, and they're also heading to Blanchardstown. Would you have an issue sharing a taxi with a complete stranger? And if you were a taxi driver, how do you feel about having to go on a journey and share your fare with a second passenger? This is something that taxi drivers are up in arms about. They've been posting on social media in the last 24 hours. If you are a taxi driver, now's your chance to air your grievances. Contact us. You can call us 6797 981, text or WhatsApp 087 798 98 98. Jim Waldron is a taxi driver and also from the National Private Taxi or Taxi Association. You're very welcome along to 98 FM. How are you?
Hello, Jeremy. How are you doing?
This is something I just heard about today, and it hasn't been in the news yet, so it's pretty much a breaking story, and it's all to do with the My Taxi app and a new pilot scheme that's to be rolled out. Can you explain that to me and our listeners, please?
Yeah, well, I don't speak for My Taxi, but I gather that what they're doing is they're going to link people up to their app system, and the driver's going to take people to different destinations, people who are complete strangers. Now, it's not something that we'd be recommending for our members to get involved in, and we don't think it's necessarily a good thing for the public either.
So, explain to us in pidgin English what exactly this will mean for taxi drivers and for taxi customers.
Well, what it'll mean for taxi drivers is that they'll be by picking up two complete strangers who have never met before, and they'll be bringing them to destination. Now, you just gave the example of coming out of a nightclub. If you come out of a nightclub on Harcourt Street, would you just stop a stranger in the street and say, "Do you want to share a taxi home?" I don't think so. And I think that's what this is all about. I don't think it's good for drivers, because I think drivers will end up in the referee in disputes over possible disputes over fares, but even just a general conversation can turn nasty with a few drinks. Somebody could be talking about Donald Trump, be a fan, and the other person in the car mightn't like Donald Trump, and they'll have an argument, and the driver will end up being the referee. So it's not a good thing, and I don't think it should happen. Okay, so the issues from the taxi drivers, from what I can see them saying online, is, well, it's going to cut the work by 50%, because if there's two passengers that should be in two separate taxis, they could be in one taxi. So it's less work for taxi drivers on the streets. And also the big issue here is strangers travelling together at 3 o'clock in the morning. Is that necessarily a good thing? Is it a bad thing? That's your issue, is it? No, can I tell you, I don't necessarily believe it's cutting the job by 50%. I just think that what we're looking at here is people trying to arrange before they go out their night out. Basically, at the moment, if you go into a shopping centre at the moment, or you go in and purchase an item, you'll stand in the queue for an extra 10 minutes, which you never did normally. Coming up to Christmas, the queues get longer, and it's a little bit the same for taxis. So what I suggest to people is organise before you go out, roughly the time you're going to be available to get your taxi. Arrange with the taxi driver to drop you off, or arrange with a local taxi company to pick you up at the normal place, or whatever the case may be, and you won't have a problem getting a taxi home. Just arrange it in advance. That's all I'm saying to people. And there shouldn't be a problem. You're saying like there's not enough taxis. There's as many taxis around as there is any other time of the year, and it's always sufficient. No. But Jim, if I come out of the week before Christmas, I know if I go into town on a Saturday night, I know I'm going to be waiting for a taxi, and that's not your fault. It's not the taxi driver's fault. There's only so many, but. From the point of view of a passenger, if you can think about it from a passenger's point of view for the moment, what possible problem would a passenger have with sharing the same taxi going to Blanchardstown if it meant two people got home together? Well, I wouldn't put my daughter into any taxi with a stranger. It's as simple as that. Like, you're expecting, you get in with a taxi driver who's a stranger, but the taxi driver you get in with is vetted by the police. The police have gone through his history and they've made sure that he's a person suitable to drop you home, and that's what he's paid to do, and that's what he does. But the person you invite into the taxi beside you who's a complete stranger only has to go wrong once. You can bring 50 fares home or drop 50 fares home all the time. What happens if a guy gets into a car or a lady gets into a car and the passenger beside them drops the hand on them?
As in, who's responsible for that?
Well, no, I'm not saying who's responsible. I don't want it to happen. I don't care. I don't want to get to that stage, who's responsible. I want to prevent it from happening, and this is making the opportunity for that to happen.
But is there as much of a risk of a sexual assault happening with two people travelling on a Nightlink bus?
Absolutely. But you probably get a Nightlink bus because of a particular reason. Maybe you can't afford to get a taxi, case may be. But if you're getting into a taxi to save maybe a couple of euros and you're going to take that risk, I don't think you should do it. I really don't think you should do it. I think that you should look from a point of view of a safety aspect. Get in with a taxi driver who's vetted and let the taxi driver drive you home. Arrange a night out before you go out, and then don't be left standing on the street. That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Jim. Andy, I'll come to you in a second, who's also a taxi driver. If you are a taxi driver in Dublin City, contact us now, 6797 981. And here's what I want to do from a passenger's point of view. So we're hearing from the taxi driver. So here's what happens. If this is rolled out by the My Taxi app, you could end up sharing a taxi home to Crumlin with someone who you've never ever met in order to share the route. Here's what I want to hear from you. As a passenger, simply text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Here is the question. Would you be happy to share a taxi home, not to your house, but I mean to your street, share a taxi home with a complete stranger, so that both of you got home in the one taxi? That's the idea we're talking about here. Would you be happy to share your taxi with a complete stranger? Don't care if you're male or female or what age you are, it doesn't matter. Just text yes or no to 0877 98 98 98. Yes or no. 0877 98 98 98. We're going to talk to some more taxi drivers in a moment. Some we think it's a good idea, some we think it's a bad idea. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Friday morning. It's bang on 11 o'clock and Georgie's here with the top stories.
Thanks, Jeremy. Good morning. 225 women have died violently in the last 20 years. That's around 10 a year, according to Women's Aid. The organisation's report also shows that 16 children were killed alongside their mothers since 1996. A Dublin man is due to be sentenced today for sexually assaulting a Brazilian woman on a Tinder date in July 2014. Patrick Nevin from Dunleary is also awaiting sentence for attacking two other women he met on the online dating app. Tributes are being paid to a 21-year-old Irish man who was killed in a one-punch attack in New York. Police are investigating after Danny McGee from Longford was assaulted by a man outside a bar in Queens. And quarters of us are planning to shop in the annual Black Friday sale, with 37% hoping to find a bargain online. Now you're up to date on 98.
Did you get a bargain online?
All your money
went on Spice Girls tickets
this week. Yes, it did. I'm broke.
Did you get a bargain online?
Well, I just popped into Zara on my lunch hour there a few minutes ago.
Lunch hour at 11 o'clock?
I start work at 5:30, Jeremy.
I know.
And it's absolutely rammed.
Zara at 11 o'clock in the morning?
There's at least 20 people in the queue.
What, are they giving this stuff away?
Everything's half price.
And you have the receipt there as well. Well, can I have a look at it?
No.
She won't tell me what she bought. Thanks very much, Georgie.
98 FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
Yes, it is Black Friday, of course, and as you heard from Georgie there, it's 11 o'clock in the morning and Zara is absolutely packed. Like the stuff is falling off the shelves. So if you are heading into town, it takes a certain type of person that can walk into shops when they're that busy and buy stuff. But it is Black Friday. It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with myself, Jeremy Dixon. We're in the middle of a conversation about taxi drivers, Dublin taxi drivers who are not happy. They posted this online. The My Taxi app has decided to roll out a pilot scheme. It's a trial scheme which can only be described as ride share. This is where it aims to pair passengers on a route basis and allow them to share a taxi driver's taxi. So basically what this means is I come out of a nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning. and although who am I kidding? I'm never in the nightclub till that late. But say random girl Sarah comes out of the nightclub at the same time, and if we're both going to the same destination, that we should probably share the taxi together. Now, we've been talking to Jim Waldron from the National Private Hire and Taxi Association. He's not in favour of it. He brought up a couple of valid points. You know, the possibility of a sexual assault. If he takes two passengers, a man and a woman, in the back of his taxi, and they end up, something ends up happening, who's responsible? Is it his job to break the whole thing up? I mean, he's not a policeman. That's not his job. I'd love to hear from you. If you're a taxi driver, how do you feel about this? Call us 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp your comments to 087 798 98 98. And we're also asking you to text in, would you be happy to share a taxi with a complete stranger if it meant getting home quicker? Would you be happy? And some interesting texts coming in about this. Keep the text coming in. 087 798 98 98. Let me go to Andy. How are you, Andy?
Hiya, good morning, Jeremy. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. Now, Andy, you're a taxi driver, yeah?
I am indeed.
How do you feel about this taxi hub situation?
I think it's an absolutely fantastic idea, and I'm just going to start, Jeremy, by telling you, I don't represent my taxi, and Mr. Jim Waldron there definitely doesn't represent my views, and many of the views of the taxis out there. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Well, I'll ask you why you think it is in a moment, but from looking online and looking on the Dublin Taxi Drivers Facebook page, I didn't see many people in favour of this plan.
The same moaners and whingers who many years ago, when we had a shortage of taxis, were against opening up the taxi industry to hacks. So we got deregulation instead. Now, the likes of some of these representative bodies will always jump on the populist view, and that's exactly what it is. We know for a fact that we have a serious shortage of taxis around the Christmas period. Okay? So my taxi is what you might call it, is sorting that out, basically.
But what benefit is of this to you? Jim made some valid points about a couple that don't know each other sitting in the back of the taxi. There could be a sexual assault. What if they get into a row? What if it's two lads that are drunk?
Okay. That's fine from Jim Waldron. If a guy comes out of Copperface Jacks or any club on a Friday night with a girl that he's just picked up, what if he sexually assaults her? But they're going the same direction. They're a couple.
Well, let me put that to Jim. Is that a fair comparison, Jim?
Not at all, no. Not the slightest, because the girl has chosen to get into the taxi with somebody who she's met. This journey is people who haven't met. I also think it's probably there's something as well, is that at the end of the destination, at the end of a journey, you usually give it a receipt. So presumably if somebody's getting out halfway, they have to get a receipt, and then the other person has to get a receipt. So I think the journey itself might be long. I don't know why the guy is bringing in pre-regulation, which happened deregulation 18 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem is with that. He's living in the past.
Can I address that, Jeremy?
Yeah, go on.
Again, at the time we had the same shortage of taxis. Okay, my taxi are now decided to address it. At the time, these so-called representative bodies that were supposed to be representing the taxi driver made an absolute haim of it. And here they are again, jumping on the populist bandwagon.
I don't think it's that. I mean, listening to Jim, his concerns is...
Okay. Sorry, Jeremy, I'm going to stop you just for a second. Can I offer a different argument to Jim? When a couple come out of a nightclub on a Friday and Saturday night, should us taxi drivers be responsible to find out how long they've known each other? It's an absolutely stupid statement.
Well, Jim...
No. Can I tell you, Jeremy? The guy's arguing against himself, as far as I'm concerned, right? If a couple decide before they get into my taxi they want to share a taxi, that's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that. This system that they're talking about is people who have never met before, not even 5 seconds before they get into the taxi. I don't want to be in that situation, and I don't think any of our members should be in that situation. And if it's my daughter, or Andy's daughter, or Andy's wife, or partner, whatever the case may be, I wouldn't like them to be in the situation that they're compromised by somebody that they do not know. And I don't think they should put themselves in a situation, particularly at night time, where alcohol and drugs are involved.
Well, let me put that to you, Andy. If you had a wife or a daughter, would you be happy with your... No, let me ask you the question, Andy. Would you be happy with your wife or daughter sharing a taxi with a strange man at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I'm assuming if it's the platform in My Taxi, those customers have already been screened and everybody knows who they are.
Nobody's screened on the My Taxi. You just download you just download it to your phone. It's just an app downloaded. There's nobody screens anybody going onto the My Taxi app. So you're going to put your wife or your daughter in a situation.
Jim, there's less of a chance of the customers coming out of Copperface Jack's being screened. It's the exact same argument you're making. You know what I'd love to know, Jim, is who's pushing this agenda.
I'm not pushing any agenda, Andy. I don't know where he's coming from on it. Like, all I'm doing is I'm trying to be...
Yeah, he's not pushing any agenda, Andy. We invited him onto the show because...
And safe for the customer. That's what I want to do.
Listen to what he's saying, Andy. Listen for a second. Listen to what Jim is saying. So I repeat that, Jim.
All I want to do is make the environment safe for the taxi driver and safe for the customer. That's all I want to do. This is not about more taxis or less taxis. It's about a safety issue. That's all this is about. You're paid, Andy, as a taxi driver, a public service taxi driver, to bring people home every night and bring them home safely. Now, what this is doing is making your job more difficult and putting the public at risk. And this should not be allowed to happen.
Okay, stay there for a second, Andy. Thanks very much for your call, Jim. Let me go to James. James, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
Hello.
Now, James, you're a Dublin taxi driver as well, are you?
I am indeed. Listen, I was listening to Andy there. Andy is look, he hasn't a clue. First and foremost, a young lady comes out and she has the My Taxi app. And there's a guy who's a prowler, sees the My Taxi coming in, hovers in with her. He's not registered, but the girl is. It's all about safety, right? Now, you're on the radio at the moment, and your good colleague was on about cats there a few weeks ago. Could you imagine your colleague getting in with the woman who happened to want him getting sacked for running down cats and he didn't like cats?
Yeah.
That'd be a great start to a journey, wouldn't it?
Oh, the Adrian and some female passenger.
Yeah, just imagine him sitting beside that lady.
But your rows can happen anywhere.
I know, but where do most rows end up in the courts?
Well, Andy, it's to protect passengers.
Yeah, you have a guy getting sentenced today that was on Tinder.
Yes, I'm aware of that, yeah.
Right, okay. Well, look, that's the same thing with the taxi, a stranger getting in beside. I wouldn't have my daughters in with any stranger in a taxi and they all sit in the back and so forth.
Okay, but stay there, both of you, for a second. There's a huge interest in this. Keep the calls coming in. 67979 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. If you're just joining us, we're talking about a story that's pretty much breaking here about taxi drivers that use the My Taxi app that could be forced to use this taxi hub situation where basically their passengers have to share a taxi, which means that complete strangers could be sharing the back of a taxi on the way home. Let me get a female perspective on this. Sarah, you're a young woman. You had a... Sorry, Sarah, you there?
Yeah, sorry, Jeremy.
Sorry, you can just turn off the radio if you don't mind, thanks.
That's not radio, that's a drunk crazy man.
Okay, now, you had an experience with this a couple of years ago. Don't name the taxi company, but what happened?
I couldn't tell you. We had basically booked a taxi on the way home because, you can't get them down the country or whatever. So we booked it, but there was already people sitting in the taxi. So when I got into it, the girl that I was going out with, it was the first time I actually went out that night with her, and she was feuding with the people that were already in the taxi. And the taxi man was made aware of this, but he didn't care because it was two fares as far as he was concerned, going near the same area. So basically it came to a head, and before we even got up the top of the main road, there was murder. There was nails going flying, there was fists, there was everything. Everything. It was, I'll never forget it, there was absolute murder. And he continued to drive.
So the taxi driver is driving two lots of people who are complete strangers. And what time of night was this?
They weren't strangers.
Oh, they weren't?
They weren't. No, they knew each other and were actually feuding for a long time. And the two of them were actually, killing each other. They were murdering each other in the back. There was fists going flying, there was shoes, there was fake nails. I'll never forget it. It was a 6-seater or a 7-seater. It was one of those van type things. But it was mental.
That is quite scary. I mean, James, that more or less backs up the point that you're making, doesn't it?
The whole thing, Jeremy, is paramount of safety. Now, you know and I know, whether it be a girl or a fella with a load of drink, things go haywire. And when that guy or that girl is sober, they're a different person altogether. it's all about safety. And anyway, 9 times out of 10, whether people are at a bus stop going to the airport, they'll say they want to share a taxi, or if they're coming out of a nightclub, they'll say, and the girl will know beforehand maybe, right? I said, yeah, I don't mind. So you don't have to have it on the app anyway. The app is only putting where if a girl has my taxi and she orders a cab and the cab arrives and the guy says, oh yeah, he's not registered. Nobody knows who he is. We know who the girl is. We know who the taxi is. He's and the girl gets right to our door. He gets out. He knows where the girl lives.
Okay, stay there for a second, please. Pamela, let's get another female perspective on this. Do you use taxis a lot, Pamela?
Not really, no. But now I have a few points to make before I tell you my story. I'm not going against that last chap on the phone there, but regardless of whether these people are nice when they're sober and all is irrelevant, because anything can happen between anybody, strangers or not strangers. And the other guy saying that your man has an agenda, he has an opinion, and whether he feels he's an agenda or not is irrelevant. It's up to the individual at the end of the day if they want to share with somebody. Anyways, long story short, it was 7 years ago now at this stage. I was in a well-known hotel in Dublin.
Okay.
And there's long grounds in the hotel, so to get out of the hotel, you're talking it's a 4-minute drive, say, in the taxi, if you're driving normal. Blah, blah, blah. We came out. I was heavily pregnant and we had ordered a taxi because it was really cold. And we came out and it was late enough. It was about 12 o'clock at night. And we were called for the taxi. We walked outside, got in the back, the usual chatting away, just normal crap talk or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
And the next thing, we drove it just a little bit, maybe for 60 seconds, and the taxi driver put down the window, the passenger window on the front of the car, and started talking to this random girl that was walking up the grounds of the hotel. Are you all right there, love? Where are you going? And I looked at my partner, he looked at me, and we were saying, is this actually happening? Like, you know. And he said, she said, oh, I just need a lift to the outside of the grounds, and my friend had picked me up, some baloney like that, whatever. So he said, get in there. And now he never once turned to us and said, to his mind, blah, blah, blah.
Never even asked it?
No. And we had been chatting away with your man or whatever. So anyways, my partner went ballistic, and I don't blame him. Now...
But what harm was the woman going to do?
Can I just finish the story?
Yeah, sure, okay.
Sorry, Jeremy. The taxi man knew he was in the wrong, right, because my partner went ballistic. This Lula jumps out of his taxi, leaves the taxi ticking over, runs back into the hotel, and is basically telling the hotel to ring the guards that we're trying to rob him.
No way.
That's true as I'm on the phone to you. That is the truth. I was pregnant. My child is nearly 7 now. That was 7 years ago. So anyways, the girl was looking at us as if to say, he's an absolute head case. Now, even if he hadn't have done that, we were getting out of the taxi and saying to the girl, you can have the taxi. We were actually offering to pay for the taxi for her to go up to the top of the oak. We were not getting into the taxi, not because of the girls, but because of the taxi driver, before we went ballistic, because he didn't even have the... That could have been my partner's ex. That could have been my ex-sister-in-law. That could have been a tramp.
Could have been somebody that was armed with a syringe.
It could have been... We could have had a row inside that pub, that hotel. No, like... The point is, it's not up to the taxi driver or the regulator or whoever the hell wants to put this through. It's not up to them. So your man can
it wasn't the taxi regulator. Let's be clear. This is
whoever it is. I don't care who it is, Jeremy. It's not up to whoever. It's up to somebody. Do they want to take that chance or not? It's up to the individual.
Okay, let me put that question to... Stay there for a sec, Pamela. Let me put that question to you, Andy. You've heard Pamela's story. She says it's not up to my taxi or taxi drivers. It's up to the passengers whether they want to travel alone or not.
No, but I'm very much sure that the app will give you that option. Do you want to ride share? It's not that you're being forced. That's a completely different situation.
She is a cat's mother. It's not a different situation.
Sorry, listen,
somebody with a few drinks on them mightn't have the coherence to say yes or no. So you can say whatever you want about the app. The app is not a bloody policing thing. It's going to cause shit. You know it and I know it.
Okay.
Can I finish my story, please? The next thing, we ended up taking that girl in our taxi with us. So it's nothing got to do with the girl. It was the taxi driver with a big hump thinking he rules the rules. It's my car and I'll rent out to whoever I want. No, you won't, pal. When we rent your car, it's actually our car so we get out. unless we damage it or break the law. So get off your high horse there.
That's just, sorry, what's your name, by the way? Sorry.
Her name is Pamela.
This is what happens in taxi.
Hold on, that's an idiot taxi driver, okay? You ask yourself, how many times have we picked up people from nightclubs and had to get involved in a situation where a girl...
Exactly. You're proving your own point. You're proving your own point.
No. It doesn't... No, if you let me finish, Pamela, it doesn't take a ride-sharing app for that to happen.
Exactly.
It doesn't take a ride.
Exactly. So why add more shit?
So that's a social issue, not a ride-sharing app issue.
Oh, would you see the app? Get the app and swing it out the door. The app is just going to create more of a social issue. Now, stop being so bloody silly. You're not silly. You're acting silly. Cop on to yourself. An app.
Sorry, Pamela, it's the same social issue that you have every weekend.
Exactly.
The only difference is you are offered the option. Do you want to ride share or not? Just press no.
No, listen to what Pamela is saying for a second. Listen to what Pamela is saying for a second. She's saying at 3:00 in the morning, people have drink taken. The last thing on their mind is, is it safe to do this? Is it not safe to do this? Isn't that the point you're making, Pamela?
Well, he's that ignorant. It is my point. But he's that ignorant. He doesn't give a damn. He's more concerned about technology and an app. Are you promoting this app? Are you getting money for this?
No, Pamela. Let me put it very clear to you, and every taxi driver will agree with me, especially if they work at night time. How many girls pick up guys in nightclubs just to get their taxi paid home?
Basically, let's add more shit onto it. Let it happen to more girls because they do it anyways.
No, listen to the question he's asking you, Pamela.
No. I am telling you now. Yeah, exactly. They're not offering anything. They're offering the probability of sex.
Sorry, Andy.
Actually, they have no intention.
Does this happen?
But they're still using the... Okay, but they're putting...
Sorry, Andy, let me ask you a question. Does this happen often in Dublin City?
Jeremy, please let me finish my point. If you're a registered customer, a reliable registered customer with My Taxi, and you're using your credit card details, that does offer a certain level of security.
Yeah, of course, but let me ask you the question, Andy. Does it happen often, as a taxi driver who works around Dublin City late at night, at the weekends, does it happen often where a woman will share a taxi with a strange man just to get a fare for nothing?
Yes, and it's fairly obvious. She'll give him a peck just as she gets home, and the guy will have no idea where he is.
Getting paid to be on that show, Jeremy. Get a grip now. Why is it only about women you're talking?
Hold on, Pamela, let me put you in a different situation. One night, I had to drag a guy off a girl because he bet her half to death. Half to death. That was girlfriend and boyfriend, Pamela. So don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about, because I've been on nights for 12 years.
So this was a situation where there was a couple in the back of the taxi. They ended up having a row. She was beating him or he was beating her?
No. He bet her half to death, and he bet his own mother in the taxi, Pamela.
And you had to stop.
When all these were out of the car, I had no idea who they were.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Andy. 6797981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp us 0877 98 98 98. We're after opening a can of worms here, and there's a huge response to this. If you're just joining us, we're talking about taxi sharing and a new proposal by the My Taxi app. By the way, we tried to contact them. It's bizarre. They're a bizarre company to try and contact. We don't even think they have an office in Dublin to contact. But this is a new idea that's been rolled out, where it would literally pair strangers together on a route basis, and a lot of people are very angry about it. Gavin, you're a taxi driver who uses the My Taxi app.
How are you doing, Jeremy?
How are you? How do you feel about this?
Jeremy, I'm one of the ambassador drivers, right? And first of all,
tell me what that means. What does an ambassador do?
An ambassador means I have my car done up with My Taxi. You get more work. It's all brilliant. In fairness, My Taxi are brilliant to work for.
Very, very hard to contact when you're the media and you want to.
No. Look, hold on, Jeremy. Let us finish now. I agree with Pamela. I agree with you, right? Now, I don't believe Andy is a taxi driver for two reasons. One, as a taxi driver, right, on night time, you said it yourself, there's no girl wants to share the car with a random guy. I don't care what anyone says. No, I don't care. I see this all the time.
No, I certainly wouldn't be happy with my wife.
Says that is a complete and utter buffoon.
Okay, stay there for a second, please, Gavin. We're going to try and clear you up your line because it's very loud. Andy, yes, I know you're a taxi driver. We've spoken to you before. You don't need to even answer that question. You've been a taxi driver. How many years? 12 years?
No, 18.
18 years. Pauline, I'm going to come to you in a second as well. I want to get your take on this. Do you use taxis yourself much?
I do, and I tend to be on my own when I do use them.
Okay, let's hear from you in a moment as well. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Text or WhatsApp your comments to 087 798 9898. Back in a tick, don't go away.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors, delivering your new mattress in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks with Jeremy Dixon here for a Friday morning. I hope you're enjoying the show. Huge reaction to what we're talking about. We'll come back to that in a moment. Just some breaking news there. You'll all remember the story of the referee who suffered horrific facial injuries in that assault. Daniel Sweeney is his name. Well, 3 soccer players, this is just coming to us now, 3 soccer players have been banned from the sport for 40 years following an assault on the amateur referee earlier this month. Daniel Sweeney suffered facial injuries in an assault which happened following a game between Horseleap and Mullingar Town back in November the 11th. You'll remember the photograph of Daniel Sweeney. It was everywhere. We talked about it ourselves here at 98 FM. He suffered some fairly nasty injuries. Well, the 3 Mullingar Town players involved in the incident have been banned from all football activity under the jurisdiction of the FAI for 40 years each, which means they can't coach, manage or be part of a club committee for that period. But no word on actual charges, as in legal charges for violence against them. But that's it's a fairly lengthy ban, 40 years. Anyway, that's breaking news there. Daniel Sweeney, that referee who suffered those horrific injuries. Just thought I'd bring that to you. Now, we're in the middle of a conversation all to do with sharing taxis with complete strangers. It could happen to you this weekend. We also asked you in a poll to text in, would you be happy with sharing your taxi with a complete stranger, whether you're male or female? 78% of you in our online poll, 78% of you said you would not be happy sharing a taxi. Let me read out this text message. I'm an 18-year-old girl and I hate getting into a taxi alone with a driver I don't know, let alone with a random person I don't know. So she doesn't support this move either. Let me go back to Gavin. Sorry, Gavin, your line was very bad there, so we got you back. Hey, Gavin.
Hey, can you hear me better now, Jeremy?
Much better. Now, what do you want to say about this?
Right, well, first of all, the poll, it just says it as it is, nearly 80%. And that's the fact. As a taxi driver, I know what it's like. I've walked New Year's Eve. I've had people saying, he's going the same way, he's going out to Blanchardstown, yeah, we'll share. And you had to throw them out halfway. They're fighting, they're drunk, they're rowdy. Now,
So these are people on the rank, Gavin, who themselves, so it's me on the rank, say myself on the rank, and our Katie. So I turn around to Katie and I say, where are you going? And Katie says, well, I'm going to Ashburn. Oh, I'm going to Ashburn too. Do you fancy hopping in? And this always ends up in trouble. Is that what you're saying?
Always. 9 out of 10 always ends up in trouble. 9 out of 10. As a taxi driver, I'm telling you that here now. It's not worth it. And then the reality of it is like, when you look at what's been happening with attacks on women in Ireland lately, we're all aware of it, we've been reading the papers lately. Why would we put women in that danger? There's no need to. The idea of a taxi app, My Taxi is the best company to work for, other than, I don't agree with this, but in general, they've made it safer with the online app. Like, people book, they know who's collecting them. I mean, the whole idea of it is to make it safer. It's to make it so if your daughter is going out, you order a taxi, you know who's collecting her. You know who's bringing her home. You're able to check on the sat-nav what way he went. It's brilliant.
Okay, so do you refuse, when that happens on the rank, do you refuse customers who've just joined up together on the rank to go in the same direction? Would you turn around to Katie and Jeremy and say, sorry lads, you don't know each other, you're not coming in my taxi?
100%. If it was a man and a woman, 100%. If it was 2 girls, I'd take the 2 girls. If it was 2 blokes and they weren't drunk, like they weren't really drunk, but I wouldn't take 2 men and a woman, or a man and a woman that didn't know each other. I've seen, and then 2 couples. I've seen fight. I've thrown them out. M50, Jeremy. I've thrown them out on the side of the road. It's not worth it.
So what happened on the M50 that you had to stop and throw them out? What happened?
I picked up 2 couples about 1.5 years ago. They were coming out coppers, and they were going to Blanchardstown, and one of them was going to East Wall. So it was one person was getting out. So the girl went to East Wall. So say that was like one of their girlfriends. And then the other 3 were going to Blanchardstown. So he obviously lived in Blanchardstown. So I dropped the East Wall way, I went to M50 way. When I got to the M50, the 2 fellas they were talking shite in the back of the car, and they said something to one of them said something, the girl said, leave her out now and stop that, don't be arguing. Then your man kind of nudged off the girl. I had to pull over, drag the fella that dropped his girlfriend home and fuck him out of the car.
Well, pardon your language.
Sorry, I apologise.
So you had to act as a policeman and a security guard.
Exactly. You just said it. And why should I have to do? Why should I take that risk? I'll never do it again. So I get what Andy's saying. It's an option. You can add in if you want. But I will never take a ride share passion. It's not worth it. It's too dangerous. It's not worth it. No way. Why take a risk that's not needed?
Okay.
You just a poll 80%. Yep. I know for a fact. Here's the fact, Adrian. You're on radio every day, and you don't get involved in conversation. But I could ask you a simple question: would you let your wife share a taxi home with a guy she never met in her life? And the truth of it is, if you really ask yourself that, you'd say not.
I'm telling you now, I wouldn't be happy with my wife sharing a taxi with a complete stranger. Thanks very much for your call. Let me go to a couple, just more of calls on this. Willie, I'm going to come to you in a second. Pauline, as a woman who uses taxis regularly on your own, you don't think this is safe at all, even though the taxi driver, by the way, is only 2 foot away if anything happens.
Yes, but he's a taxi driver. He's not a bodyguard, and he's, at the end of the day, when I go to the taxi, when I pay my fare for the taxi, which I would be doing whether I was a rideshare or a single passenger, I know that taxi man has been vetted. If someone else is coming in beside me, I don't know that person. If I'm in a bar, I can walk away when someone comes and starts talking to me and I don't want to talk to them. Be it a man, be it a woman. I just walk away. If I'm in a bus, a night bus, and something happens, I get up and move to a different seat. I can't do that in a taxi. I'm being forced to share close encounters with a stranger. I'm paying the same fare. Like, as I think it was Gavin, one of the taxi men said, it does happen on the ranch. You hear people saying, I'm going this way, do you want to share? And that's grand. Let them do that if they want to do that. But me, if I'm travelling on my own, and I do travel like from the city centre to Dunleary or whatever, I'll walk around the corner and I'll go to a rank and I'll have a look at the taxi driver, and I know that there's a taxi driver, and if I'm happy and comfortable, I'll get into the car. And
sorry, would you get into the car would you taxi share with another woman?
I don't necessarily think so. It depends on the woman. But
okay, so supposing it's a Saturday night, Pauline, it's freezing cold, it's raining, you're standing on the rank, there's only one taxi on the rank, and the other person waiting, the person in front of you on the queue is a woman, and you happen to be both going to Dunleary, and she says, well, how are you? I'm going to Dunleary as well. Do you want to hop in?
Yeah, I know. I can. Yes, I mean, it does depend on the circumstance. And again, we'd both be paying the fee and the fare to Dunleary. So, like, yes, it's good for the taxi man. He gets 2 fares for one journey, which is great. But for me, it could turn out badly. It might not, because I've maybe been chatting to that woman for 10 minutes, waiting in the cold, complaining about the cold, complaining about the fact that there's, so many people waiting. But generally these days, whenever I do travel home, I have no problem getting a taxi. I understand Christmas, it's going to be a bit busier, but I understand that going out too. So I know, and I plan, and I'll walk to the rank, and might leave a little bit earlier, just so I can beat the crowd.
Sure. Okay, thanks very much for your call, Pauline. One last call on this, and apologies for holding you for so long, Willie. You're a taxi driver. Tell me why this is a bad idea.
There's a couple of bullet points I want to bring, and that man brought up the first one, Jeremy, was the fighting in it. Right. The second thing is it was tried 20 years ago in College Green, where they had marshals on the rank, and they were asking people to go in the same area.
Sorry, was that a thing? Was it?
Oh, 20 years ago, yeah. In College Green,
I don't remember that. So it was like Dublin Airport, where they had literally somebody marshalling the rank and trying to join up people together.
Join up people.
Okay.
And the report that I got back from drivers was there was always fights over who's going to pay what percentage of the fare and where they were.
Yeah, of course, that's a huge issue, yeah.
Now, there's a legal issue in this as well, Jeremy, and the NTA are looking into this, National Transport, is you have to give a printed receipt to the passenger. Now, you can't give a printed receipt until the journey ends. So that means one of the passengers or two of the passengers don't get receipts. Which, say he wanted to get it for expenses or whatever like that. What are you supposed to do in that scenario, right? The third point is, if one of them soils the taxi, who pays for it?
Yeah. And then a row ensues because who pays or who pays more. We've got onto the NTA where we've contacted them, and obviously we won't have a statement. Well, we may have a statement by the end of the show today, but if not, we'll have a statement on Monday for the show. Be interesting to see what the NTA do say about this, Willie. But it's from what I believe, it's been rolled out from tonight onwards. Are you going to take part in it? Are you a My Taxi app driver?
No, I'm actually an airport driver. But look, I tell you, Jeremy, I'm a taxi representative at GTNH. We had protests in the city. The last protest we had was over insurance, and 17 drivers turned up, so I wish them the best with that. And I hope there was 700 before that, but there was 17 at the last one. And I wish them the best with that, and I hope they do get the drivers, because this needs to be nipped in the bud. Jeremy, another important point is, it's just a guy in the car with a girl sharing, and we'll say he takes a shine to her, and you drop that girl off at our house. That guy now knows what that girl is. Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It's a very tricky one, and I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Thanks very much for your call, Willie. Somebody wants to know, Jeremy, would you use it yourself? I don't know. If I'm in that position, if I'm standing outside a nightclub next Saturday night in the run-up to Christmas and I'm freezing cold, and there's a fella there, and he wants to share a taxi with me, he's going to the same place I'm going to, maybe I would. Would I share with a woman? Absolutely not on your life would I do a taxi share with a woman I don't know, because that's opening yourself up to all types of accusations. It really is. You've absolutely no comeback. That woman could make any accusation against you, so I wouldn't be happy to share with a woman. Would I share with a man? I'm not too sure. Anyway, it's been rolled out tonight, I believe, if you are in and around town. It'd be interesting. We'll probably return to this on Monday when we get a statement from the National Transport Authority and find out how they feel about it. But it'd be interesting how it works tonight, and whether or not you have situations where complete strangers are sharing taxis together. Just a couple of texts there. It's not forced. It's an option. That is the key word here. It's an option. Nobody is forcing you to do it. A taxi man isn't a bodyguard, but he is strong enough to help with something if something goes wrong. Look at the plot from the movie Taken, says this person. It's a movie, you know what I mean? It's not real life. But they shared a taxi from the airport, and the man who shared the taxi with her knew where she lived and that she was alone. No, thank you, says that person. Yeah, that did actually happen in the movie Taken. That's how she ended up being trafficked and all that. But is that going to happen in Dublin? I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for all your calls, your comments and your texts. This is 98 FM's Dublin Talks. Now it's a Friday, and joining me in the studio for this part of the show is 98 FM's Darren Cleary. How are you, Darren?
Hello, Jeremy.
Because we are about to play our quiz, Say What You See. How would you like €100?
Adrian Kennedy's assistant.
Who, me or you?
Say What I See. That's...
Oh, yeah, because I'm Adrian Kennedy's assistant. Yes, I make his coffee. If you want to play our weekly quiz, Say What You See, call us now, 6797 981. 6797 981. The lines are open to you now. You could win a €100 voucher for Des Kelly Interiors. That'll go nicely towards something if you want to decorate the house before Christmas. €100 could be in your back pocket. All you have to be is the winner of the quiz on Say What You See. The lines are open to you now, 6797 981, and we're both, myself and Darren, we're on fire today, so it's going to be a good one.
98 FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. New carpets fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.
It's 98 FM's Dublin Talks, and it's Friday, which means it's time for a quiz, Say What You See. If you'd like to win a €100 voucher for Des Kelly Interiors, which will be nice just before Christmas, call us, 6797 981 if you want to play the quiz. Darren's here to my left-hand side, and John is on the line. How are you, John?
Good morning, Jeremy. How's it going?
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Now, do you want to play with Darren, or do you want to play with my good self?
I'll go with your good self, Jeremy.
Okay, so you know how it works. 1 minute on the clock, and your time starts now. Here we go.
Your funeral, John, because Jeremy's not getting this.
Oh my God, this was a song by Tiny Tempa. It means someone who's into being friends with somebody. They're not into arguing with them. I think, what's his name, Michael Jackson said it in the song with Paul McCartney as well, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, I think he did.
Stop giving hints now.
Okay, so I want to be your friend. I don't want to fight with you, John. I've
no idea, Jeremy.
John, don't do that to me, John.
I always get an awful start to this.
Well, it's just because you're stupid, John. Sorry, thanks for playing.
John's a bit dozy, is he?
No, he's not. No, well, I don't know. It was quite a difficult one. Let's put that to our next contestant.
He's sleepy. He doesn't sound like he's woken up.
Kevin, how are you?
Good morning, gents. How are you?
Now, Kevin, I want to be your friend. I don't want to argue with you. So I'm a
lover, not a fighter.
Oh, you're a lover, not a fighter. Sorry, that is the right answer. So you've 1 minute on the clock. You're up to one already. Yeah. Do you want to play with Darren or do you want to play with myself?
Did I get that right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I don't even know that song. Just Paul McCartney got it.
I'm a lover, not a fighter. You want to play with who?
I'll play with you, Jeremy. I'll have faith in you.
Oh, your funeral, buddy.
No. There's loads of people going to play with Darren. So.
Yeah, okay, here we go. 1 minute starts now. This is somebody who paves the way for others to follow. It's a word for someone who starts a trend, and then everybody follows. It was like years ago, no man wore pink shirts, and I was the first man in Dublin to wear a pink shirt. A trailblazer is the right answer. That's a true story, by the way.
You're not the first man in Dublin to wear a pink shirt.
Yes, I was. This is where you live. It's an expression of where you live, but there's also lots of trees around it.
Country.
Okay, what's your head attached to?
Your neck.
Your neck. So it's... What?
Did you say arse of the woods?
What is it?
Neck of the woods.
Yeah, you're neck of the woods. Well done. You're up to 3. Here is your next one. This is something when you wake up after a Sunday night and you have to go to work. You feel this. This is. It's not the Tuesday Reds. It's the
Monday Blues.
The Monday Blues. You're up to 4. Here is your next one. This is. This was a song by. Oh God, who sang it? Your man with the one eye. No, he doesn't have one eye. He does have one eye. David Bowie sang it. This is...
Oh.
I've started, so I finished. This is...
No, you're not starting, so you finish.
It's also something a spaceman would say to Cape Canaveral. This is...
The Life on Earth or something?
This is The Life on Earth? No, it's a David Bowie song.
Spaceman?
No, this is...
Captain...
No,
Get off the
line. You've got a score of 4. Well done, Kevin. Does David Bowie only have one eye? Something tells me he does. Or there's something about his eye. He has a dodgy eye.
Jeremy, I'm not sure what his eyes are like.
Adam, how are you? You're on 98 FM.
How's it going, lads?
What did David Bowie sing?
Ground Control to Major Tom.
Ground Control to Major Tom. That is the right answer. Well done. He's passed away, of course, since, but did he only have one eye?
I think he had a little lazy one, alright.
Yeah, a lazy eye, or something to do with his eye, anyway.
Something, anyway, yeah.
Okay, you have a score of 4 to beat. You're up to 1. Do you want to play with Darren or myself?
I'll play with the legend, Mr. Clearly.
Hey.
There you go. You don't do that too often.
The legend.
Adam, there's a $5 in the post coming your way.
I want €6 for that.
Okay, you've a score of 4 to beat. You're already up to 1, Adam.
We're getting 6, Adam. Watch us.
Okay, 1 minute on the clock, and
go.
Your time starts now. Here's your first one.
What's that?
The Marines sing it when they're marching. I don't know.
No, I don't. Jeremy, that's a terrible one.
Yeah,
you got it right. Well done.
That was terrible.
Here is your next one.
This is a man. He hangs out with Snoopy Dogg.
Dr. Dre.
No, he's not a rapper. He's the cartoon guy that hangs out with Snoop Dogg. Snoopy.
I cannot think of his name at all.
He has a colour in his name.
He's not Charles Black.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
There we go.
We're flying at him. We're doing well.
Here is your next one.
This is something Arnold Schwarzenegger said in Terminator. He said,
I'll be back.
No, the other thing he said,
You've just said it.
I haven't.
Nice one, darling.
Yeah, give him a ding.
I'll give you that one. I shouldn't, but I will. Here is your...
Just hold up the card.
Here's your next one.
This means you curse a lot. You have a something mouth.
A foul mouth.
No, it's what children go to the toilet in.
A nappy mouth.
Potty mouth.
Potty mouth is the right answer. Bing. A nappy mouth. Here is your next one.
This is something Doc Brown says in Back to the Future. It's about roads.
About roads?
Yeah.
Not rolls, not as in
roads.
Chicken fillet rolls. Roads.
He doesn't think they need them.
Marty, we need a chicken fillet roll. That's my Doc Brown impression. Thanks very much.
That's awful.
Thank you. Come on.
No, do you want to give me a little tip there, darling?
Marty, do you want mayonnaise on your chicken fillet roll?
Jeremy, shut up. I'm giving him a tip here. So if you don't need something, you'd say roads, We don't need roads.
Adam, you're in the lead with a score of 5. I've cut him off because number 1, the time is up, and number 2, you basically just said the answer to him.
Yeah, I did.
If you want to take part in the quiz, 6797981 is our telephone number. 6797981. We've a score of 5 to beat. If you want to win yourself €100 voucher for Des Kelly Interior. 6797981. Score of 5 to beat. Love to hear from some women. It's all men so far. Let's hear from some women as well, please. Thank you very much. Gareth, how are you?
How are you getting on, lads?
Not too bad at all. What did Doc Brown say to Marty McFly in Back to the Future?
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yes. And do you know where he was going? He was going to Blanchardstown. That's actually where he was going. It's a true story.
He wasn't going to Blanchardstown.
He was going to Blanchardstown. He was going into the shopping
centre. He was going to Hill Valley.
Or Hill Valley. Okay, Gareth, you're
Liffey
up to...
Valley.
Liffey Valley, yeah.
Doc Brown was not going to Liffey Valley, Gareth. Come on.
He was. It's Black Friday. The sale's on. Gareth, do you want to play with myself or do you want to play with Darren?
With Darren, please.
I didn't know the name of the housing station Back to the Future, and I love that movie.
Hill Valley.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know what the mall was called? Twin Pine Malls. But then when he got to 1955, he ran over one of the trees. So do you know what it was called then when he went back to the future?
No, tell me.
The Lonely Pine Mall.
You sound like a lonely man. 1 minute on the clock.
Horrible human.
Horrible but true. 1 minute on the clock. Score 5 to beat. You're up to 1 already, Gareth, and your time starts now. I've no idea who this is, by the way.
This is a man. He is not lieutenant. He is not commander. He is captain, and he's you wear them, they're your jocks. Another word for jocks.
Captain Underpants.
Yes.
Who is Captain Underpants?
Just give him a bing.
Okay, here's your next one.
On Malin Road. This is a special road in Dublin everyone sings about.
Raglan Road.
Yes.
Raglan Road, St. Paul's Bridge, I think. Well done, you're up to 3. Here is your next one.
This is about a spider going up a water spout. What's his name?
Itsy Bitsy Spider.
No, it's not Itsy Bitsy.
Itsy Wincy Spider.
Yeah.
Itsy Wincy is the right answer. Well done. You're up to 4. This will put you level with the leader at the moment.
This is Michael Flatley's nickname. Don't say anything rude, please.
Yeah, I can think of a few nicknames for him.
Lord of the Dance.
Lord of the Dance. Sing him.
You're in 5. This one will put you in the
lead. Jeremy, hold it up. This is something Bruce Buffer says. He says,
Let's get ready for Rumble.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, it was also a song by Ant and Dec. You're up to a score.
No one remembers that, Jeremy.
Here is your next one.
Baby.
No.
It's okay. Let's talk about the sex, baby.
Yes, give him a big.
That's possibly the most unromantic thing any man has ever said to me. Say it again, Gareth. Let's hear it.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Oh, that's better. Well done. You're up to a score of about 60. No, 7. You're up to a score of 7. Well done. You're in the lead, Gareth. Well done. 6797981 is our telephone number. 6797981 if you want to take part in our quiz this week. And I know there are people texting in. Can I play the quiz? You got to call us. I just said that. 6797981.
And Jeremy doesn't get to talk to a lot of women because they avoid him actively when they see them. So if there's a woman on the line listening, could you call us and talk to us? Because women don't tend to talk to Jeremy. They see him and they go the other way.
Now, a lot of people saying that David Bowie didn't only have one eye. I thought he did. I'm sorry about that.
And that's why women won't speak to Jeremy.
No,
he's a liar.
There was something about David Bowie's eyes. That's all I know. Let me go to Adam. Another Adam. Adam, you're on 98 FM. How are you?
How's it going, lads? He had 2 different coloured eyes.
Oh, is that possible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, I didn't know that was possible. So, like, his left eye was blue and his right eye was green?
Brown or green or something, yeah.
I assume that's very rare, is it?
It is very rare, yeah.
I don't know anybody that has different colour eyes. That's although you wouldn't know yourself unless you examine them really closely. Sure you wouldn't. Anyway, Adam, I don't give you an extra point for that, but you have a score of 7 to beat. Do you want to play with Darren or myself?
Play with yourself, so please.
Okay, you're 1 minute on the clock.
Give me a few cards.
And your 1 minute starts now. There we go. Here's the first one. This is something a game show used to say where they used to run down out of the
Come on down, the price is right.
Yes! There you go. This is something that these American preachers say. So they'll say something, Jesus is your Savior. Can I get a...
Hallelujah.
Don't know what church you've been going to.
Can I get halloumi?
Can I get a...
Are you ordering a sandwich? Can I get halloumi, please?
Hallelujah.
Some mayo.
No, listen to me again. So, Jesus is our Savior. Can I...
Get an S.
Can I get an S?
What do you call 2 men? 2 men. What do you call 1 man?
Man.
A
Amen. Can I get an amen?
Can I get an amen? Yes, well done.
Amen.
That was a struggle. You're up to 2. This was a song by Hanson from the 90s. I'm going to give you 2 because you sang it. Okay, you're up to 4.
You're not getting 2.
Go on.
Yeah, I've given you 2. Here's your first one. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. What's the first line of that?
Run as fast as you can.
Yes, well done. You're up to a score of 5.
Oh.
And the time is up, I'm afraid. You played a blinder, Adam, but you just weren't good enough. I'm sorry about that. Can I get a halloumi? What's halloumi, by the way?
Halloumi is a kind of cheese.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, actually.
I thought you, with your notions and you feeling like you're superior to everyone else, you would know all about fancy cheeses.
You would think so, but Darren, I'm a very simple man with simple taste. Red cheddar, that's me. Colin, how are you? You're on 98 FM.
How we doing, fellas? All good?
Good. You're the final contestant today. Would you like to play with Darren or Jeremy?
Go on, Darren.
Come on, Colin. We're winning. Yeah. You and I together.
Sympathy vote.
The hell with the other fella, whatever his name was. I've forgotten about him. He meant nothing to me.
Okay, score 7 to beat. Your 1 minute starts now. There's your first one.
Oh, this is a footballer. He's very tall, a bit ugly like Jeremy.
Ibrahimovic.
No, he was English. He did the robot.
He's still English, by the way. He's still English.
Yes,
well done. That is 1.
He's still English.
Yeah, he hasn't changed.
This is something people say when they see Jeremy and his wife together. They say he's something above his...
He's punching above his weight.
Yes, he is.
Do people say that behind my back?
No, they say to your face.
Pigs. Here is your next one.
This is an expression that means you're trying to remember something. You're taking a
moment out.
No, you're not going down memory road.
Oh, here, be careful.
A trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
Yes, the right answer. You're up to 3. Here is your next one.
This is an expression that means old people can still... they can still go at it like fiddles.
Like clappers.
Like clappers.
They go like the clappers.
Oh, like the clappers.
Like the clappers. This is an expression that it's about a musical instrument.
A violin.
It says a fiddle.
What? No, not as fiddle.
No.
It's the older the fiddle, the sweeter the tune, Colin. And I'm sure that's you. Your tune is very, very sweet. Sorry for that, Colin. That means the winner of our quiz today with a score of 7 is Gareth. Well done to you, Gareth. You've won yourself a voucher for Des Kelly Interiors to the tune of €100. And that brings Dublin Talks to a close for this Friday. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
Good show.
Thanks, yeah. Who needs Adrian? That brings our show to a close for this Friday. Don't forget, Barry Dunn is up next with some great tunes, including these. Have a great Friday. If you're heading into town for Black Friday, just be careful, okay? It's only a one-day sale. It's not worth dying over, okay?
FM's Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. New wood flooring fitted in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
98 FM.